Hello, all the drama teachers out there. I'm Janea Dahl, and the founder and creator of Drama Notebook, and I'm here with Jennifer Reif, lesson plan writer and playwright extraordinaire. And we recently held you want to say hi?
Hi.
I'm here in sunny Tucson and woke up to a beautiful day and offering great gratitude for all of you drama teachers out there doing such important and meaningful work in the world. Thank you for the work you do. So we recently held a Zoom workshop on how to structure a year of drama lessons. And we thought we would just do a quick recap of the major points for you to help you get grounded and get excited and feeling inspired about planning this year. So what we're going to cover in this short tutorial is we're going to give you some fabulous tips for success, and then we'll go over some frequently asked questions that we get all the time. We'll do how to structure one individual drama class, and then we'll go into what to teach and in what order. So we hope to give you a lot of support and inspiration for this year. So the first quick thing are some tips for success, especially if you're new to teaching drama, and I'll turn it over to Jennifer.
Great. So these are just 5 quick tips for things to keep in mind as you're planning your semester or your school year. So the first is less is more, and that goes for both each individual class that you teach and thinking of your whole program. Sometimes we want to pack a lot of information or a lot of different games or activities into one class or the whole year. And really, we can kind of step back a little bit and manage our expectations, and that will help us be more successful. So within one class, just thinking that just introducing things a little more slowly will allow students to really take it in more deeply and learn it more concretely. And the same thing with the whole arch of a school year. You don't have to include every topic under the umbrella of theater. It's kind of like thinking about playing to your strengths and to your interests and the children's strengths and interests. So choosing topics or units of study that speak to you. You don't have to do it all. The next one is repetition is a good thing. And again, that's both within one class and within the school year or year to year. So you might be playing a drama game 5 times in a day or 10 times in a week, but remember that students are only playing that game or doing that activity one time. And also, repetition is what brings comfort and confidence. So it's okay to repeat the same game several times a week. It's okay to repeat it year to year. Remembering too that students bring new life experiences and new maturity every year. So I've had the great privilege of teaching the same kids oftentimes for 12 years. And so I might do a Shakespeare unit every single year, and I might change up the topics according to age or grade level, but it's okay to repeat those things. The next one is building ensemble. Janea, do you want to talk about that one?
Well, yes, in theater, we always start by developing a sense of trust with one another. And this goes for professional actors as well, because you want to be able to feel like you can express your deepest creativity. And in order to do so, you have to feel safe. So building that ensemble early on and continuing throughout the year, even if it's a scenic design unit or something that has to do with technical theater, because you want to have students feel accepted by one another and supported by one another. And we have a ton of building ensemble games on Drama Notebook.
Right. And I'll add to that is such an important thing, especially with reluctant learners. So students who are maybe more reserved, students who maybe have just different learning challenges, or those challenges are behavior challenges. That building that trust and ensemble is what's going to just help you have a cohesive group and help with any of those challenges as well.
I think we've all had students who had social anxiety, or they were described as shy. I don't really like that word. That means that they're not ready to come out and share themselves yet. And so giving them an opportunity, there's games that I play where I intentionally keep the game going until the student who is reluctant to participate joins in, because that student's going to leave the class feeling like, oh, wow, I did that. And then they can build on that success. Now, oftentimes by the end of a class or a semester, or more like the end of a semester, you can't tell which student was too afraid to share her name in the beginning and is now totally blossoming in your class.
Absolutely. Which leads to starting with class agreements. So if you check out on the website, there are 2 different lessons about theater etiquette. One is for younger students and one is for older students. And in that, along with things like going to the theater, what you would expect and what audience expectations there are, it also includes a section on creating your class agreements. So some teachers call this class rules. I think agreement is a wonderful way of wording it because it is an agreement between you and the students. So one way of doing this is at the very beginning, inviting the students to share how they want to feel in the class. So you might start with something like, I'm so happy everybody's here. How do you want to feel this year when you come into the drama class? And you'll inevitably get things like creative, happy, safe, playful, things like that. So then you can say, wow, isn't that wonderful? That's how we all want to feel. So let's create some agreements so that we can all feel that way in this class. And you might very well know exactly what you want those agreements to be. You probably will, but it's including them in the conversation. And then you can come up with those agreements together and post them in the classroom so that all you have to do is reference them. So when one student maybe has some sort of behavior challenge, maybe they throw a prop at their neighbor or they're using negative talk, you can simply refer to the class agreements rather than calling them out or shaming them for it. You can just say like, remember agreement number 4, remember this. It's just another tool for classroom management.
And I'd like to add to that classroom management is a whole different ballgame in drama class usually, because students often bring like birthday party energy in. So you'll want to have some excellent go-to attention grabbers and classroom management strategies. And we have both of those on Drama Notebook. Jennifer just put together a fantastic list of attention getters. And you'll want to have a lot of swift consequences for anyone who's, breaking the class agreements, and a lot of consistency. So it's kind of like parenting, it has to be delivered swiftly and followed through 100% of the time. And this is a kindness that you're offering to the class, because one student can derail the experience for everyone. So make sure that from the get-go, you're running your class playfully and, with a lot of fun, but also within a really good structure.
Excellent. Okay, now we'll let us skip to the frequently asked questions. All right. Am I sharing there still?
Not yet.
Oh, all right. Here we go. Now we're sharing. Here we go. Frequently asked questions. Janea.
What do I teach and in what order? That's a big mystery, isn't it? Well, first I want to say there is no right and wrong way to teach drama. You've probably been asked by your administration to teach drama, or maybe you've even been teaching for years. A good place to start, of course, are the national art standards if you're in the United States. And actually those national art standards, as they pertain to drama, are very universal, and the current ones are have been written by actual theater teachers. So they're very clear, and they're also very broad. So when you read, I would spend some time reading through all that, and then seeing how easily it applies to virtually any dramatic unit of study. So the short answer is there is no right or wrong answer for what to teach in what order, but there are some general scaffolding tips that we're going to offer later. Jennifer is going to get into a little bit more depth on that.
Great. How do I teach to mixed ages? Yeah, many of you might have mixed age groups. I actually love that. I love being able to teach groups with little kids and older kids, and just seeing how they work together. And of course, that can be challenging. But one thing is, most drama activities, if you're in a situation where you might be playing drama games or learning different techniques, can be modified for any age group, from 5 to 105. So it's kind of a matter of just looking at the activities you want to do and then figuring out how to morph them or change them for different ages. And I would also say with that is, within a class period, try to allow time for the older kids to be paired up with older kids, with their peers, and the youngers as well, so that the olders don't feel like they're constantly the helper for the youngers. And so that they get to just play a little bit more with those at their developmental age group.
And you can also give older students outside of class work, like monologues or something, or playwriting, something that's a little bit more mature for them.
Great. How do I teach with a big group? Yeah, again, everybody comes to teaching drama with just such different experiences. Some are teaching in a traditional school setting where they might have 20 to 30 students in a class. Some might have a small group, just a handful of students. And a big group is definitely can be a challenge. So one thing is, we're going to share later kind of like how to scaffold one class, ideas for that. But one thing is doing group activities where everybody can participate and nobody has to just kind of sit on the sidelines, but then also making sure that you're dividing up and doing smaller group work, just so there's not one person or a small group who gets all the attention that day, because obviously we want to share the attention with everybody. But that's one of the big ones, is giving them very specific tasks to do so they can stay on task in small groups.
And if you're teaching in like a community theater or an after-school setting, then I would ask see if you can get parent volunteers. A good rule of thumb is no more than 25 students in a drama class, maybe 15 for the younger students. And if you're in a situation where you can have what's it called? It's not an apprentice. That
can be an apprentice, teacher's assistant.
Yes, when you do like a college student who's in theater may be able to help with your class. So if you're in a position to recruit help, find another human being, and who could be there, an adult human being, to be there in the room with you.
Yeah, definitely. I want to add one more thing to that, because this has been coming up a lot lately in my individual coaching things too, is that a lot of you in a traditional school setting find yourselves in a classroom with desks with 30 kids. How do you do that if you don't have a theater space too? So kind of what Janea just said made me think about this. So if like 15 is kind of an ideal number, so what can you do to allow like 15 students to be audience for a moment while the others are up, and then kind of switch it back and forth, or just the smaller groups, so that they get that opportunity to be audience members and performers throughout the day. Reluctant learners. We actually kind of talked about this one earlier, ways to include reluctant learners. And then how do I teach in a less than ideal space? I guess I just kind of talked about that one too.
I've taught in a hallway in a field. And you might want to ask your administrators if you're in a situation where you're being put in random places each week, or you're in a classroom that's set up for regular school day with desks in it. Ask whoever assigned you that space to come watch one of your classes and see if they can't help you work something else out.
Okay, that one makes me laugh too, because sometimes administrators, I loved it when this happened to me. They were like, well, we put you in the gym because we thought that would be so much room. It would be so great. I was like, no, the gym just invites chaos and running. So with that, I ended up, like kind of taking cones and making, this is our drama boundary space. This is our boundary. And occasionally we could go run in another space, but kind of defining your space if you end up in something huge.
There's definitely a Pavlovian response when they get in the gym. They will just want to run. And you're right, and use the gym lines on the floor, building imaginary walls. These are our theater walls.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Should we jump now, Janea, to the kind of the how to plan one class, like what to include in that? All right.
Sure. So again, because drama class can feel a little bit like birthday party energy, you're all excited. Each class should have a structure. And I like to start with an opening ritual, and it can be something as easy as everyone standing in a circle and they enter the class silently, put their things down, and they each offer one word about how they're feeling that day or how their day is going. So and we have lots of opening and closing rituals on drama notebooks, so you can kind of read through that and decide what works for you. But that kind of grounds everybody and invites them into the space. Mm-hmm. And then you'll want to do some warm-ups. We have tons of drama warm-ups. I like to choose warm-ups that are going to correspond with what skill we'll be working on that day. For example, if we're going to be working on vocal projection, then we'll do voice warm-ups. And if you have time to do body, voice, imagination, if you have the luxury of more than an hour-long class, you can do some quick warm-ups that address all three. Then we do a skill building activity. So like I mentioned before, if we're doing vocal projection, then I'll pick some voice games that help students develop that skill. And then I like to also use that voice skill in some kind of performance activity. So they're doing the skill, and then they are put in small groups to put on, a 3-word skit or something, apply it to a short improvisational performance so that they get the opportunity or they have the experience of using that skill while being in front of everybody else and having a positive experience of performing something in front of others and having it go well. And then closing ritual. So before the bell rings, before everyone's excused, you come back together in a circle. It can be something as simple as everyone puts their hand in the middle, touching each other, and they say, how do we say theater? Theater! And then they're free to go.
That's great. Actually, that makes me laugh, Janea, because I had a school that I taught at for 10 years. And our thing was we put our arms in and go, it didn't have anything to do with theater, but we would do go team, take state. I don't know why. That's perfect. And I just want to add to what Janea said too about the ritual, the opening and closing. The opening also just allows a little bit more time in case there are latecomers. And that's the thing that you can repeat. We talked about repetition is good. Have 1 or 2 rituals and you start every day that way. It builds comfort and confidence. And then with the warm-ups as well, the voice, body, imagination, one game can serve all of those. So you could find one game that engages all of those things. It doesn't have to be 3, like just as Janea said, just to repeat that. So excellent. And so for every class that you're planning, this can be kind of a nice framework. It also brings comfort and confidence because it's a formula. So I often think of formula as bringing freedom as well, because everybody kind of knows what to expect, knows the flow, and then you can be a little bit more free to explore and expand. And And if one day you drop something, that's okay. Just pick it up next time. All right.
Okay.
Next, we're going to jump into the scope and sequence materials that we have on the site. So we have 2 of these, one for younger students, which is a creative drama. And when we say creative drama, we're really thinking of like preschool through around grade 2, although some of the activities would be very much enjoyed by older people as well, but that's mostly, preschool through grade 2. And then the other one is kind of written for elementary through high school with ideas.
And these are new titles on Drama Notebook because we've had people ask about how do you plan a year. So Jennifer put together, I mean, they're amazing. You guys have to read these. And what I'm going to suggest is that you print out. If you're teaching younger students, print that one. If you're teaching older students, print that one. If you're teaching both, print both. Sit on your deck with your cat on your lap and the sun shining down on you. Read through thoroughly. You'll feel very grounded after you read through those tutorials. And then go over to Drama Notebook and spend 2 hours just familiarizing yourself with the wealth of materials that are available to you. And you'll start to feel like, oh, I'm going to teach, I'm going to do a building ensemble first. And well, Jennifer, why don't you go ahead and show them?
Okay. We'll go ahead and start with the older one, and then we'll jump into the younger one. So, share my screen. I think I'm going to share my screen. There we go. All right. So this is the scope and sequence created for elementary, middle school, high school. And here in America, elementary tends to be kindergarten through around grade 5, so around ages 5 through 11. Middle school tends to be grades 6 through 8, so around 11 to 13, 14. High school tends to be grades 9 through 12, which is around 15 to 18. So what you'll see here is, once again, to reiterate that there's no perfect order for introducing different drama topics. It really is, think about your strengths, what you want to teach, if there is something that you're required to teach, but play to your strengths. And even if it's something that you don't have a great strength in, Drama Notebook has a lot of things that are really easy to just kind of take and use in the class. So
for example, like if you want to teach theater history, we have, I want to say 6 PowerPoints that teach that introduce different eras in the theater. And for every PowerPoint slide, there's a transcript that tells you exactly what to say when introducing the slide. So it's completely foolproof.
Right. And another thing is, at the end of this document are mini units. So you don't have to do a week-long or 2-long unit. You could just do a 1-day or 2-day exploration of something. That can be fun too. So on the first page, it also talks about how any unit can be modified for different age groups. So for instance, as I said, I love teaching Shakespeare with kindergartners. It cracks me up. It's great fun. And I obviously modify for them. And, then teaching it all the way through high school is a little bit different. So we've offered here several units to explore. That's what this whole list is here. And then on this second page, it's how to start the planning, kind of like what we just talked about with the daily plan. And then we have kind of some examples. If you were on kind of a semester program, here's an example of what you might explore the first semester and might explore the second semester. Then here's a sample unit sequence. So for elementary school, for instance, you would want to begin with building an ensemble. So it says here, theater basics. And with every class, you're probably going to want to start with some sort of basics. Your goals would be building ensemble, theater etiquette, and theater vocabulary. And then you might do a unit of basic acting. And your goals are going to be to learn the parts of the stage, stage movement, vocal projection, creating characters. So you kind of get that idea. So this is an example for elementary and what you could do for a whole year, for middle school, the whole year, and high school, the whole year. And you can, of course, switch them around if something speaks to you. And then every different unit idea, we have a page that explains what the unit is, what the objectives would be, and then links to different lessons on the website. And at the bottom of every page, you'll see a hint about that topic. So for instance, in this first one, building ensemble, which we've talked about, that's a great place to start. The hints are representation is important. So what does your classroom look like? Who is represented in the artwork on your walls and the plays that you'll read? And then using these first classes to take a skills inventory, really find out the special gifts and interests that each student brings to your group. And yeah, so you'll kind of see that. And then what you can do is you would click on something and it would take you to that site. So here's our theater etiquette lesson. It gives a description of it, and then you can download it if you choose. And every lesson or play has a description on it. So then here are some more. So we have the improv unit, fundamental acting skills. I think you all get the idea here. Play analysis, ideas, playwriting and storytelling.
And I would like to add in here. I would like to add in here. This came up when we did the live workshop. If you have a subject that you're not particularly well versed in, like take theater history, for example, if you're working with older students, you can empower them to teach it and put them in small groups and assign an era of the theater to each group. And they have to come up with a written report and a presentation to the rest of the class that includes some sort of performance element. And so they can teach each other and deepen their understanding of that particular era. If you want to, take it farther than what's on Drama Notebook, you are an expert.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, so you see that we have all of the units here. Then it goes into like term 2 drama units, and there are more ideas here for each of these. And then the last one is just the mini units that I talked about. And just, you could make these bigger units, of course. They're just ideas for things that are fun, small units. And these can also be good things for a sub if you have a substitute as well.
Yes, on Drama Notebook, there is in the lesson. So Drama Notebook has basically 2 sections, the lesson library and the search library. And they all they're very easily organized. And there's one section called no prep drama lessons, and everything in there can be left for a sub. And we've had reports over the years of that was the most fun sub day ever. The substitute left a note. It was just incredibly fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and now I'll jump to the younger scope and sequence here. It's similar, but there are some slight differences. So this is for early childhood. Same kind of thing. We talk about what creative drama is and offer possible units to explore with young children, how to plan it. This one also gives the kind of structure like we talked about before of how to plan like a basic 60-minute class in there. So we have that. I also wanted to point out this element. Depending on how long your class is and what your school situation is, having a little bio break in the middle can be a great thing. Bio meaning just a little biology break where people can use the restroom, they can move about, stretch about, and it gives you a chance to regroup or plan for the next thing. And it also gives them a chance to clear their mind for just a second. So that's what that is. And then for the younger set, we've just broken it here into sample unit sequence. doing thematic learning is how many teachers of young children kind of set up their classes to begin with. So we have a lot of thematic things on the website for preschool and early learners.
Like creative drama fall, creative drama food, creative drama. So you think in terms of, the colors, magic.
Yeah, there's one for every season, one for friendship, one for art, nature, all animals, things like that you would typically do the thematic learning with little kids.
And another great resource for the younger students are books to act out. And we've hand selected, we have a great tutorial on Drama Notebook. I think it's called Great Books to Act Out. They lend themselves to performance, and inside of that title, it'll show you exactly how to use books, but it's virtually endless. Like if you're teaching drama to young children, just by getting that one title could last you the entire year. And it would be super fun.
Absolutely. So in here, like for fall, this one being broken into seasons, we have just a list of things that you might explore in the fall, and then in the winter and the spring and the summer. So that one, that's the one for younger students.
All right. So you're all in different situations. So we can't speak to everything, your particular situation. And if you have a question that's come up that was not answered by us, we invite you to go to our Facebook group. Jennifer and I are on that all the time, as are 5,000 other drama teachers throughout the world. So you can bring your question into our little sharing group. It's called Drama Notebook Teachers Sharing Group on Facebook.
And there's a link on the website too.
There's a link on the website and in every single email I send out. So you can just click on that, join, pose your question, and receive lovely support. Also, Jennifer, if you are completely overwhelmed and filled with anxiety, Jennifer is amazing, and she does individual coaching. So you can go on Drama Notebook, and her coaching is somewhere on the menu on top, pretty easy to find. And she's affordable and compassionate and will help you get unstuck. So our wish is that if you're brand new to teaching drama, you use this resource almost like somebody holding your hand and saying, you can do this. It's going to be really fun and you're going to have success right out of the gate. And if you've been teaching drama for years and years and dreading going back, we hope that you can find some fresh inspiration so that you can fall in love with your job all over again. Because we're constantly creating new things that you've never heard of. Like last year, Jennifer put out these murder mysteries when we had to do COVID. She's so brilliant. And we had to teach drama online. She came up with these murder mysteries, which are like dinner parties for kids or teens, where there's a scenario and a detective and all the suspicious characters. Well, people love those so much, we made 20 of them. We had all of our playwrights look at her formula and write all these fun things. So give yourself the gift of spending some time back on Drama Notebook and looking at some things that you may have never tried before.
Absolutely. And thank you, all of you, for the incredible work that you do. And it's so fun to share ideas and collaborate with different teachers. Every time somebody posts something on Facebook, I feel like I'm learning something new, and we get to take that into different lessons and ideas to put on the site. So it's a wonderful collaboration.
We also had a question in the workshop, the live workshop, about purchase orders, having your administration cover the cost of a subscription. So first of all, I want to say, my mission is to keep this site as affordable as possible for teachers, because I totally understand that most of you are paying out of pocket. So I have not raised the price in 10 years. And if all you need are a few things, you can go on, join for 1 month, immediately cancel, get 10 things and no other, you don't have to, there's no renewal. And I'm totally fine with that because I want the site to benefit each person in the way that really fits for them. And purchase orders. Oh yeah. If you can present this to your administration, it's $89.95 for a year and you get up to 250 downloads and royalty-free scripts. It's really kind of a no-brainer. And if your administration will cover the cost, the purchase order process is very simple. And there's where it says subscribe, it says purchase orders. You can read through that page and you can usually have it done within 1 day. So in other words, we'll accept a check that's sent from your administration in lieu of you paying out of your own pocket.
Excellent.
And yeah, so I'm just very happy, very grateful for everyone doing this meaningful work in the world. And we're here to support you. And we're just filled with gratitude that you're out there doing the transformational work with kids and teens. So thank you, and reach out if you have any questions or just sharing your excitement.
Excellent. Have a great year. Have fun, everybody.
How do we say theater? Theater.